Hi, good evening, Dunamites from all over the world. Welcome to another edition of the Dunamite. I'm your host, Pops and Francis. As you know, Dunamites are not just physically located in East New York, but they're all over the world. And this evening, we have one such Dunamite, Janiel Salmon. Welcome, Janiel, to this episode of the
Hi,
Dunamite.
hi, Sister Francis, or can I say Popsy? May I
Yes,
say Popsy? Hi,
whichever.
Popsy. And you tell them later why I'm allowed to say Popsy. It's really
Sure.
a pleasure to be here, and thank you guys for inviting me.
Lovely. We're happy to have you. We are going to get right into your testimony because this is the place where we share powerful testimonies to encourage the brethren and encourage people from all over the world. But before, tell us, who is Janiel?
Who is Janiel? I like to consider myself made up of three fundamental pillars. I'm first a Christian, I'm a follower of Christ, I'm a wife. I'm wife to Dean Salmon, the one and only, and I am a marketer. That's my bread and butter. So those three pillars really make up Janiel Salmon.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Now you're a marketer, and this is where your story comes in. So tell us, you had plans to go to a foreign land, but you had no resources. Let's begin the testimony.
Listen, I can go on and on with this testimony because God has been so good. So I'm going to rely on you to just stop me, ask any follow-up questions anytime. Yeah?
Sure,
You have
sure.
that. Go ahead. All right. So this testimony started out of, I believe God would have placed it in me. It started out of a desire to want more. I remember when I graduated from my first university. And I said, you know, God, I want to do this job for 2 years. After 2 years, I want to advance. I want to go and do my master's degree. And let me just pause here and tell everybody, God is a God of progress.
Mm.
Whatever we need, we put it to God. It's not too big, it's not too elaborate. God is a God of progress and prosperity. All right. So I remember wanting more, desiring more out of my profession, or I wanted to take a step further when it comes on to self-actualization. And I said, you know, I know of this great university. I Google it. I Googled top universities in communication, and I wanted the best. I'm a child of the king. I wanted the best. And I remember Googling the school and Googling and finding the school, the London School of Economics and Political Science. Listen, when you Google that school, you'll see heads of state. You will see Nobel Prize winners. You will see that the school is a legacy. It carries a legacy of excellence. And little old me from Jamaica, very humble beginnings, I said, God, that is the school. That is the school I want to go to. Go, Popsy.
Yes. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with such a top university in the world, then the money that is needed to acquire such an education must have been gigantic. Before you jump into the actual journey going into LSE, right? Did I get it right? LSE.
LSE.
Where were you working? Because I think sometimes persons believe, you get your first degree and you start working and everything should be okay. So just give us a little background as to where you were and why should you have been in need of money? Go ahead.
Listen, when I graduated from uni, Northern Caribbean University, I landed a job. That's another testimony. You'd have to invite me back here for that one.
I,
And
we
I
will.
got employed at the Office of the Governor General of Jamaica. The Governor General is the head of state of Jamaica. And many will say, but you should be getting a lot of cash, man. You shouldn't be in need of anything. However, bear in mind that this is government role. And if we know anything, Popsy, you were once there. If
Yes.
we know anything about the salary scale in central government in Jamaica, it is not the best. It's not the worst, but it is definitely not the best. And when we now start to think about bills, student loan that I would have taken out in uni to finance my education, when we start to think about general cost of living, you know that the take home is really nothing much.
Very minuscule, yes.
Very, very, very tiny. So that was really what would have unearthed a part of it too, that desire to want more. Because in my head, one more degree means more marketable, means more money, bigger job, bigger position. That was my equation. So that was really what started it, you know?
Yes.
So I remember working at King's House for the Governor General of Jamaica. And my 2 years, it came by so quickly and I wanted more.
Yes.
I know I wanted to learn more about my profession. I wanted to grow more. So Google top schools. The tuition, you're gonna have to lean in for this. When I when I did my research on the institution, they recommended that overseas international students land or have access to a total sum of 34,000 pounds.
Pounds.
Wow. At least 34,000 pounds. The school fee, the tuition was approximately 20,000 pounds. And you needed, because you're living in central London, the prices are high. You needed at least 14,000 pounds for the year. It was a 1-year program as well. And Popsy, I remember looking at that money and thinking, where am I gonna get this from?
Where? Like where?
Where is this going to come from? Where I don't even have the first 100 pounds. Where is this going to come from? But you know, I said, all right, God, this desire is in my heart. I have laid it before you. Your will be done. But like so many of us, when we pray, I say, God, your will be done, but you know my will and you know my desire. So let them align with your will. And I remember doing that application, completing my personal statement. Upon applying to the university, you also have the option to apply to the scholarship fund. So of course, it's a given. I applied. Forgot about it. I made that application maybe in April thereabout, mid-year or so.
So mid-April thereabout, you completed your application. From your testimony so far, I'm getting to understand that nothing is wrong with dreaming big as a Christian, because we serve a big God. Nothing is wrong with wanting more and desiring more, because the Bible does tell us that God is willing and able to give good gifts to his children. But not only that, you applied, but you went a step further by doing what you needed to do. So let's dig straight into it now. Tell us what happened so we can really encourage some Dunamites all over the world.
Let me tell you, I submitted that application mid-year thereabout, and I forgot about it for a little bit, because you know they give you a turnaround time when they're going to get back to your response, and if you got in the school, response and funding. So I laid that aside and I was in my 9 to 5 doing my hustle same way. And it was about December that I got an email from the institution saying, hey, congratulations, you have been awarded a spot at LSE to complete a Master of Science in Strategic Communications. Of course, I'm over the moon, but that's just half the battle. That's just half the puzzle. We still have 34,000 pounds to think about. Popsan, I remember completing scholarship applications after scholarship applications after scholarship applications and being rejected and rejected and rejected some more. I think I may have applied to 4 or 5 scholarships and I was not successful. By this time, we were in the next year and it was about February past, March past, April past. Remember, I'm supposed to start school August 2017. Popsan, June passed, nothing. I remember end of June came in and I'm like, God, what's up? What you doing? I remember having a conversation with my coworker and I said to her, dear, whatever happens, I am going to go to London. I am going to go to London. And I mean, when you think of England, when you think of London, I'm thinking, nobody not dead for hunger. No one is going to die of starvation in London. No one. So I just need a floor. I just need some blankets and anybody that I can get to agree to just hosting me for a year, even if it's on the floor, I am going to go to LSE.
Wow.
I remember talking to another colleague and he had a sister who lives in London. And he said to me, boy, Jan, she's miserable, you know. And I said, it's just for a year. It won't be long term, just for a year. I had that conversation latter June. I was planning to go, just get my plane fare and just land in the city. Popsan, remember, at this point, there was no money, nothing. I remember speaking to a very good friend of mine, my mentor, Ambassador Whiteman, and I remember running things by him and asking him to connect me with individuals, just who I can send a letter to, who I can appeal to. And we did that and we got some funds coming in. So I would have, by now, by end of June, I would have had the plane fare money. So after that, a week may have passed, couple days. I was at work. I can remember so vividly. It was the 4th of July, 2017, America's Independence Day.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so ironic that it happened on this day. As usual, went in the office, opened my email, checking my email, seeing what task I had to fulfill for the day, the usual. And I remember going into my personal email that morning and I saw an email from the scholarships unit at LSE. And your heart kind of start to, because by now I have forgotten about that, this was almost a year after, over a year, no, I had forgotten about that. And when you get those emails to say, oh, we'll call you if anything comes up, you know how that goes. And I remember Popsan opening that email and I saw the first word, congratulations. Congratulations. And when I saw it, I was in disbelief. I said, Max, this is my coworker. Max, come look here. And she said, Jan, what is it? What is it? And I remember saying, Max, read this email. I get a scholarship. And she read it. And there it was, £20,000 taken care of. My tuition was paid in full. In full. And Max said to me, but Jan, it's not just the scholarship. You get a second fund. I said, what? And when I read a little further, Popsan, I got additional funding for that £14,000 that would have covered every single expense while I lived in the expensive city of London for that year. In
Can we
total,
hold on? Can we just pause? For those of you who are watching right now, can we just pause and give God some praise? Because
yes,
God doesn't do things halfway. He does it full, 100%. Can we get some comments in the comment section? Let us give God some praise here on the Dunamite. Janiel, please go ahead. We're going to close out very shortly, but go ahead.
listen, I got a scholarship, full scholarship, from the London School of Economics and Political Science. By this time, I would have written those letters, and with the assistance of Ambassador Whiteman, I would have now had the plane fare. By this time, through networking with through Ambassador Whiteman, I would have had some warm clothes to land. By this time, my partner, we weren't married back then, would have bought me a laptop.
Check.
By this time, Popsy, I would have reconnected with a family member, wasn't living in London at the time, but he was living in Sheffield, and I would have reconnected with him, and he could have given me, he and his wife, Tanya, they could have given me advice on what to expect. Popsan, it was nothing short of a miracle.
Praise God.
Nothing short
Praise
of a
God.
miracle. And
Praise
let me
God.
tell you, when we have aspirations, when we have certain dreams, and many times we think that these dreams are just too big for little old me, they're not too big for God. They're not too big for God if we just ensure that they align with His will. All things will, not may, will work together for your good because you love the Lord.
Wonderful. What a testimony of God's goodness. In fact, the last question I was going to ask you is, what encouragement would you have for someone right now who has these dreams, who believes that God is calling me for something better, for something greater, and they feel as if the resources are not available? And you just actually answered that question. Even if it seems big for you, it is definitely not too big for God. Janiel, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Dunamite.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me, Popsy. And my last word would be to someone, don't be the one to downsize your blessing. Don't allow others to downsize your dream. It's yours. Own it, bring it to God, do the work, and watch it manifest in the right time. It's going to blow your mind when it manifests.
Wonderful. And with that, we close this episode of the Dunamite. Remember, this is the place where you have all those awesome testimonies. God still works miracle. Visit us at the Dunamis SDA Adventist Church, online, YouTube, Facebook, or physical at 461 MONTAUK Avenue. This is the place where the power resides.